Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Money Means Business. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we are going to focus on the latest economic activities on the presidential levels as well as other levels within the Egyptian state throughout the past week, and more specifically for today. And to be shedding more light on those important economic topics, I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Dr. Mohamad Roushdy, the economic expert. Dr. Mohamad, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Money Means Business on Nile TV International.
Thank you for your kind invitation, and happy Easter for you and our audience.
To you too as well. We will be starting straight away with the main economic activities that took place not just over the past week but for today. More specifically, as today President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Dr. Mustafa Madhouli, Prime Minister, as Dr. Sharif Farouk, the Minister of Supply and Internal Trade, Mr. Ala Farouk, the Minister of Agriculture and the Land Reclamation, and Colonel Dr. Baha al-Ghannam, the Executive Director of the Mustaqbal Misr Agency for Sustainable Development. The official spokesperson for the presidency stated that the meeting addressed the status of food security system, including the production and the distribution of the strategic commodities, to ensure the safety and the stock levels for the reassuring periods. This contributes to the market stability and the price balance, especially in light of the regional developments that have negatively affected the supply chains and financing. In this regard, the Minister of Supply and the Internal Trade indicated that the reserves of the essential commodities, including wheat, rice, sugar, oil, pasta and meat, are at very reassuring levels, helping to mitigate the impact of the current crisis on the global supply chains and ensuring continued availability of the goods. Dr. Mohamad Roushdy, how do you see the importance of such a meeting for today between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Prime Minister and several other ministers, to be ensuring the safety and the stability and the security of the supply chains here in Egypt?
In my humble opinion, this is considered one of the most crucial things to have what we are calling it the harmony and synergy between all governmental sectors, all ministers, to work together to ensure the supply chain in a smooth way or seamless way.
Yes.
Actually, and this is one of the most crucial things. If you would like to have what we are calling it to have stability and to work on our ambitious plan concerning the growth and concerning the infrastructure and concerning a lot of things, and our ambitious plan to achieve what we are calling at 2030 SDGs goals. Actually, this is one of the most crucial things to have what we are calling it a contingency plan. Contingency plan, which one of the most crucial things that most of not developed countries, actually the developing countries actually is working on it, like Egypt. We have doing a great job in terms of that, because
Yes.
synergy between all sectors is quite crucial, especially if we are not owning our supply chain. We are not owning, in my humble opinion, our decision. And in my humble opinion, this is one of the most important and smartest way to have what we are calling it contingency plan, to ensure stable economy, stable supply chain, stable synergy between all sectors to achieve our strategic goals.
Dr. Mohamad, for the past 5 or 6 years, we have seen several problems and conflicts and pandemics raging around the world, around the globe, like, excuse me, the coronavirus pandemic, for example, in 2019, 2020, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, the aggression by the Israeli occupation forces against the Gaza Strip, the US-Israeli war against Iran, and vice versa. So we have seen several incidents that could be impacting negatively the Egyptian economy. How did you see the response, and more specifically for the past month, by the Egyptian government, according to the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, to be mitigating this problem, and more specifically, as you mentioned, the stability of the market, the Egyptian market, and the balance of the prices?
I believe that one of the most crucial things, or one of the most important models that Egypt implemented, what we are calling it SWOT analysis or TOS analysis. I believe that we have to invert the letters a little bit to be TWAS or TOS analysis. If we are, in my humble opinion, if we started with any threat, we can find opportunity. As you mentioned, thank you for mentioning one of the most crucial things that the globe faced it, which is the pandemic.
Yes.
From this a global threat. What is the opportunity from this? Digital transformation, online training, online education, online shopping, financial inclusion, a lot of things.
Have we benefited as Egyptians from those problems?
Yeah, we benefited. And to come to other things like Ukrainian war and the current war and everything that we passed it actually during the last phases, we are bearing the fruits of what we are calling it the economic reform, in addition to the contingency plan. In terms of the Ukrainian and the Russian war, to return back to our points, we ensure to have what we are calling it national security, to ensure our logistics end to end, and to have alternative for a lot of things, like for example the oil, in addition to the wheat actually.
Yes.
A lot of things we have do it in a great way to reclaim lands actually, like Sinai, a lot of lands actually, and the government is focusing on the supervision and direction of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in a great way to have what we are calling it national security. Because if, in my humble opinion, who is not owning his food, couldn't own his decision, and this has happened. For that reason, we, from a lot of threats, we found an opportunities which changes our weakness point to be strength points actually, working on the manpower, infrastructure, getting more FDI, foreign direct investments in a great way. Also have what we are calling it political stability.
Yes.
Despite the fact the globe have a lot of changes and a lot of war and instability and uncertainty, but Egypt is totally one of the most safest places you can find in the Middle East.
Yes.
And this is not our opinion, this is a global opinion, in addition to the global rating agency that classify Egypt one of the most potential countries, in addition to, in terms of the economic part, actually to focus on this. Rating agencies give positive rating for Egypt with stable outlook, in addition to what we are calling it the great infrastructure. Based on this great infrastructure, investing in manpower, investing in the infrastructure, getting more FDI, have an ambitious plan to achieve what we, as far as I call, $100 billion experts actually.
Yes.
Non-petroleum actually, to focus on that.
The initiative by President al-Sisi.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, in addition to a lot of things, giving incentive for investors to invest in Egypt, and this is positively reflect on what we are calling it the competitiveness report. What is competitiveness report? To simplify to our audience, this is one of the most crucial reports that any investor would like to invest in any country is investigating this report to read it in a proper way to ensure that his investments will get what we are calling it ROI, return on investment. And you can see Egypt that jumped a lot of ranks in the competitiveness report. And this is what we are calling it at the end. We are being the fruits of the economic reform and the political stability, despite the fact all the challenges that the globe faced it.
Yes, Doctor, allow me to be going to the report of the Money Means Business for tonight, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and the Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, Mr. Hassan Abdullah. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report about this important meeting in the upcoming report, so stay tuned.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, Mr. Hassan Abdullah. Spokesman for the presidency, Ambassador Mohamad said the meeting focused on a multitude of topics related to the performance of the Egyptian economy during the current period. President al-Sisi was briefed on ongoing efforts to further reduce inflation rates and increase foreign currency inflows, indicators related to strengthening the country's foreign exchange reserves, economic and structural reforms, and the measures undertaken by the state, particularly the central bank and the banking sector, in light of the current regional situation. The Governor of the Central Bank confirmed the availability of safe levels of foreign exchange reserves capable of securing strategic needs for essential commodities and production inputs for factories. The President stressed the vital need to boost efforts towards securing foreign currency necessary for the provision of production inputs and to strengthen the strategic stock of various goods. President al-Sisi gave directives to strengthen efforts to reduce inflation rates and maintain coordination between the government and the central bank to ensure a flexible and unified exchange rate for foreign currencies. The President also reviewed developments related to enhancing the performance of the banking sector, the evolution of external debt as a percentage of GDP, and their implications on the macroeconomy. The meeting also discussed the availability of opportunities and financing for the private sector to drive economic growth, thereby contributing to attracting investment inflows and bolster the role of the private sector in economic activity. The meeting also addressed Egypt's hosting of the 33rd annual meetings of the African Export-Import Bank, Afreximbank, from 21st to the 24th of June 2026. The Governor of the Central Bank noted that Egypt's hosting of the meetings reflects its role as a key driver of regional integration in Africa, amid growing global uncertainty and shifting economic dynamics. The meeting will also be held at a time of deepening geopolitical realignments and escalating conflicts, underscoring the need to strengthen Africa's self-reliance and develop regional value chains. The President gave directions to enhance incentives to capitalize on available economic opportunities and expand opportunities for the private sector to drive economic growth. This shall help attract investment inflows and meet the financing needs necessary to support development efforts, while continuing to ensure adequate availability of foreign currency resources in a manner that positively reflects on maintaining a reassuring stock of various goods.
Welcome back. You're still watching Money Means Business. Dr. Mohamad, Roushdy, as we did see in the past report, the meeting between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, and the head of the Central Bank of Egypt, Mr. Hassan Abdullah. One of the main directives of President al-Sisi is to be targeting the reduction of inflation. How can this be done in the upcoming months?
Before going to the report, actually,
Yes.
I highlighted that we are bringing the fruits of the economic reform. One of the most obstacles, in my humble opinion, the part of the debt, actually. And to reduce the debt, this is quite crucial, and President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi highlighted that decreasing the debt, actually, one of the most ambitious plan that we are working on it. As far as I recall, our debt cost of debt reached to 104% 115 to 110% from our GDP growth,
Yes.
actually, and this negatively affected us. And nowadays it reached to, as far as I recall, between 80 to 85, and we have an ambitious plan to reach to 40%. To elaborate to our audience in a simple way, actually, we will take it on the last three, actually, MPC meetings. MPC,
Yes.
Monetary Policy Committee meetings, actually, to handle or achieve our targeted inflation rate. We started from December, as far as I recall, 2025. The Central Bank of Egypt at its meeting decreased the interest rate actually by 100 basis points, which is 1%, and at 12 of Feb decreased the interest rate by 100 basis points, in addition to decrease the reserve part from 18% to be 16%.
Yes.
And at the last meeting to April, actually this month, actually, make the interest rate sustain the same interest rate, make it stable, actually, despite the fact,
Yes.
the global issues in oil, energy, a lot of things, food and beverage, actually increasing the prices of that. And to be honest with you and our audience, the inflation rate before the last hike, for last oil hike, actually, the inflation rate was decreasing. For that, which reflected on the interest rate.
Yes.
Accordingly, as you know, and our audience, there is a correlation between interest rate and what we are calling it the interest rate and the inflation rate.
So after the war, could we be anticipating another increase in the interest rates in the banks?
To be honest with you and our audience, in terms of interest rate, in the last decade, after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi takes responsibility,
Yes.
actually they are working to what we are calling it work with the interest rate based on what is going on the market, actually. Be a part to respond to the market.
An interaction.
Interaction.
Yes.
So we couldn't, based on what will happen actually in the coming days in terms of the war, the increase on if the oil prices increased. I believe that we are in a flexible market that interact with changes, because nowadays, in my humble opinion, that we on a life that the only constant is a change.
Yes.
For that reason, you couldn't admit that 100% it will increase, will be stable, or will be decreased. But we can say loudly that the government has an ambitious plan to decrease interest rate to reach, by the end of 2026, to reach to its lower tier. Like nowadays, the corridor rate, overnight deposit corridor rate, as far as I recall, 19%.
Yes.
They are aiming to reach to 13% by end of this year.
Yes.
And this is already disclosed. Despite the fact in the coming MPC, Monetary Policy Meeting, actually will be 21st of May. This will be a response to the global change. For that reason, you couldn't admit 100% it will increase. It will be...
We have to wait and see.
Yes, let's wait and see what will happen in terms of interest rate changes nowadays. But what we can commit, that the government has an ambitious plan to end this year by lower interest rate tiers, and this is possibly will reflect on our cost of debt and GDP growth, as we have an ambitious plan concerning the GDP growth, as far as I recall, which is to 5.5% GDP growth last year.
Yes.
And we are aiming to achieve more or less within this range. And this is, to be honest with you and our audience, for a lot of developing countries, this is a great achievement. Especially you can see a lot of developed countries not achieving that growth rate in terms of GDP growth.
Yes, and moving on to another presidential activity for the past week, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli, the Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy Mahmoud Asmat, and the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Engineer Karim Badawi. The spokesman for the presidency, Ambassador Mohamad said that the meeting reviewed the progress of the new and renewable energy projects, the targeted capacities to be added from wind and solar energy and battery storage systems to the national electricity grid in line with the 2030 energy strategy. The meeting also reviewed the status of the additional capacities that have been contracted and are currently being contracted to enhance the stability of the national electricity grid and meet the increasing demand for energy. As part of an official step regarding the restructuring of the Egyptian representation at the international financial institutions, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli issued a decision appointing Hassan Abdullah, the governor of the central bank, as Egypt's governor to the International Monetary Fund. The Minister of Finance, Ahmed Kujak, will serve as the alternate governor. The decision clarified that the central bank has become Egypt's official voice within the IMF, reflecting the importance of the monetary policy at the current stage. Additionally, the governor of the central bank will serve as the Egypt governor to the African Development Bank, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and the Egyptian expatriates acting as the alternate governor. Dr. Mohamad, how do you see the significance of those appointments by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli at such a big international financial institution like the IMF to Mr. Hassan Abdullah, the head of the Central Bank of Egypt, and the Minister of Finance, Ahmed Kujak?
In my humble opinion, this is we are being the fruits actually, or they are being the fruits of the synergy between the Sector Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank of Egypt concerning the synergy, and to align that our internal, what we are calling it, internal economic reform and policies that should be aligned with our international policies and direction concerning the economic part. And this is which positively will reflect our economic reform in a great way, in my humble opinion, to be one of the most and fastest growing economies globally. And you can see this crystal clear, especially from bringing more FDI, attracting funds, despite the fact the global instability,
yes,
especially in the Middle East. You can see that Egypt is stable. We are securing what we are calling it our food and our source of energy, despite the fact part of it counting on normal or non-renewable energy part, which is oil.
Yes.
And we are focusing to have a contingency plan to work on renewable energy. Especially, we have an ambitious plan to work on the renewable energy that aligned with our SDG goals 2030 actually. And this decision, I believe, it's giving us credit on and giving the central bank and Ministry of Finance actually the credit for the economic reform and the synergy and collaboration between both of them, and those will be our internal strategy concerning the economic part will be aligned with our global economic decisions and economic strategy.
Yes, Doctor, and still with the activities of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli for the past few days, as Dr. Madbouli witnessed the signing of a $215 million chemicals project in Ain al-Sukhna as Egypt steps up the efforts to attract the high value added private investments and localized key industries. The project, developed by the Egyptian Polysurf Chemicals, will be established in the integrated Sukhna industrial zone affiliated with the Suez Canal Economic Zone. The agreement was signed at the government headquarters in the new capital in the presence of Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Karim Badawi and the Suez Canal Zone Chairman Walid Gamal Ad-Din. To one of the main events of today, as Finance Minister Ahmed Kujok said that the Egyptian energy subsidies could reach $2.26 billion in the fiscal year 2026-27. Kujok said that the government sets out an ambitious fiscal plan aimed at boosting investment, strengthening the public finances and expanding the social protection. He said that the new budget is built on the expectations of easing inflation to around 9.3%, alongside the continued efforts to narrow the fiscal deficit to decline to 4.9% of the GDP in the 2026-27 fiscal year, down from an estimated 6.1% in the current fiscal year, which ends on the 30th of June of 2026. Dr. Mohamad, to be having more foreign direct investments, according to the statements of the Finance Minister, is one of the main pillars of the upcoming fiscal year and the upcoming budget for 2026-2027, as well as the energy subsidies, one of the main factors that everyone is speaking about globally and not just domestically or regionally. How do you see the budget announced for today by the Finance Minister Ahmed Kujok?
Actually, this is, we can see that this is aligned with our strategic vision to decrease the deficit budget by a lot of tactical things. One of them to decrease the cost of debt by decreasing the interest rate, actually, to decrease sovereign rates, in addition to focusing on decreasing the subsidy and give the subsidy for the one who actually needed. For that, he mentioned to increase the number of the protection actually, or the benefited people actually from this subsidy, but not to give subsidy to everyone if he didn't need it. And this is, I believe, one of the most important things, to direct your subsidy to the one who deserve it actually, in a proper way. For that reason, decreasing subsidy actually will positively reflect. Decreasing the interest rate will positively reflect on our balance of payment in a proper way, and attracting more FDI. This is, I believe, this is the normal results for the economic reform and the infrastructure and the political stability.
One important topic that you mentioned, Doctor, is expanding the social protection for the upcoming fiscal year, for the 2026-27 budget, according to the statements of the Finance Minister. How do you see one of the main pillars being announced for today, and we have seen it being implemented on the ground for the past decade or more under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, is that we are having foreign direct investments, we are having a new capital, new cities, achievements in every part of the Egyptian economy. But one important factor is the social protection for the Egyptian citizen. How do you see this important topic?
Let me elaborate it in some items.
Yes.
The first one, which is having a great infrastructure, investing in education and health. Actually, this is one of the most crucial things, and this is provided an opportunity, and actually the stability, the political stability, this gives opportunity to investors to focus on investing in one of the most important countries in the Middle East, Egypt, because we have the manpower, the infrastructure, and political stability. Those we are being the fruits of this actually, and this is reflected on another part, which what we are calling it unemployment rate. As far as I recall, the unemployment rate in 2013, something like that, reached to 13.5%. Nowadays it's 6.5 to 7%.
About half of it.
Thank you.
Yes.
For that reason, you can see the figures reflecting our strategy in a great way, and giving subsidy to the one who deserve it, or the targeted segment. Actually, this is a crucial. First thing, you give infrastructure, you have economic reform, you decrease the unemployment rate, and the remaining people who needs the subsidy, actually you have to statistically you have to you can get them in a proper way and check everything, because you can see one of the most important things, no need for some people, they have a great fortune and they're taking subsidy.
Yes.
Nowadays you can see that. But there's a exercise that the government is working on it to link through the digital transformation by our ID number, our things that we own and everything, and this is reflect what we are calling it our credit worth, actually, in addition to our financial worth. Accordingly, to put this in a great way, statistically we have to get people who actually need subsidy. By this way you give subsidy to all people that need it. In addition to, the government is working to update this in a regular basis with coordination with Ministry of Solidarity, and you can see there's a collaboration between Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Solidarity, and a lot of success in addition to the CBE.
Yes, Doctor. And finally, because we have only 2 minutes, one of the main statements by the Finance Minister, Dr. Ahmed Kojak, for today is that Egypt is aiming at reducing the external debt by $1 to $2 billion annually. How would you comment on this statement, on those figures? Are those enough figures? Do we need more? Can we do it?
In my humble opinion, we are on the right track to decrease our cost of debt, and you can find this easily through two things. Our internal cost of debt is decreasing, actually.
Yes.
And this is reflected on the last MPC meetings, that we decreased the interest actually 3 MPCs meetings, actually. The first one decreased 100 basis points, as I mentioned, in December, and the second one in Feb, they decreased by 100 basis points, and the last one, due to the global issues, they make it stable, with no deduction, and we will wait and see what will happen. This is concerning the internal part.
Yes.
And we have an ambitious plan to reach by end of this year, to reach the lower tier of interest to be 13%, something like that. This is concerning the internal debt or cost of debt. For the external part, we can do it in a great way, because we are counting on bringing more FDI, counting on the local industry, actually, and giving incentive for investors to invest here, like one of the most important initiative that the government is working on it, to give incentive or tax waiver for people who export things that have 60%, as far as I recall, from local components. They give them tax waiver, in addition to supporting SMEs, small and medium enterprises, that positively reflect on our economy, with coordination with Central Bank of Egypt, actually, by giving lower interest rate for lending those sector.
Yes, Dr. Mohamad Roushdy, the economic expert, thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of Money Means Business. Thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you next